Pace. 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 Pace.
Volume.
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 Pitch.
Diction.
Resonance.
Join us as we explore and paint our vocal canvas, exploring the 5 aspects of voice which we use to orally communicate with one another. Please be advised that there is explicit content in this limited series podcast.
Resonance, the amplification, enrichment, or modification of our voice achieved through intention of placement. The process of resonance is what gives our voice its unique tonal qualities. It adds depth, richness, and volume to the raw sound produced by the vocal folds. By skillfully controlling the shape and size of our resonating spaces, we can manipulate the resonance of our voice to produce a wide range of vocal effects and tonal colors.
Are you ready for an adventure that resonates? Then join us at Echo Caves Adventure Tours! Nestled in the heart of the wilderness, Echo Caves are a natural wonder, a symphony of sound and stone. As you journey through these ancient caverns, every word, every whisper, every footstep will echo around you, creating a magical, otherworldly soundscape. But Echo Caves offers more than just echoes. Marvel at the stunning stalactites and stalagmites. Explore hidden chambers and learn about the fascinating history and geology of these remarkable caves.
A visitor! Welcome to the meadow!
Thank you, Little V. It's a fine day for a stroll.
Indeed, it is. The flowers are particularly sweet today.
I could hear it in your buzz, Bumble. You sound quite pleased.
And I can feel the rumble in your voice, Gruff. It's quite powerful.
Ah, well, we all have our unique ways of expressing ourselves, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Well said, Bumble. Well said.
Listeners, now is a time of our final Vocal Canvas Challenge. Let's find our resonance. Try humming on an M sound. Then hum on an N sound. Then hum on an ing sound, like running. Where do you feel the buzz? On your lips, your tongue, your nose, your chest? Let us know and ask us any questions you might have about resonance using the hashtag Vocal Canvas Challenge. And now, on to our last piece of the series, House Call by Frederick Dennehy.
$7:15 on a Saturday morning? Yes?
Mrs. Carroway?
Who is this?
Township, Mrs. Carroway.
The entire township?
No, just the working end of it, ma'am.
Do you know what time it is?
I do, yes. May I come in?
This had better be good. You are?
I'm Abe, Mrs. Carroway.
Let me guess. We laid the sticks out pointing in the wrong direction, and you're here to set us straight.
Mrs. Carroway, the day is at hand.
Pardon me?
Disposal day.
Oh, of course. The national holiday. A time for all Americans to say thank you to our sanitation workers.
I'm not quite understanding you, Mrs. Carroway.
I'll say it for you. You are here to collect.
That's right.
Let me say this once, Abe. I'm not being rude. We have a policy in this house. We don't give extra money to municipal workers who are doing exactly what our taxes pay them to do. We're appreciative, generally appreciative, but we don't give tips.
I'm not asking for your money.
No?
I'm asking for your garbage. I'm collecting your garbage.
You do that regularly, twice a week.
We do, and this is our home visit.
Home visit?
It's what the township calls an audit. Fancy word, but it's really disposal. It's all laid out in the brochure we left you last week.
Brochure?
Tricolor foldout. You don't remember it, do you?
I must have.
Disposed of it.
I'm sorry,
Mrs. Carroway, don't worry. You're not alone. Let me make a suggestion. I see your phone over there on the table. Why don't you just call the township?
On a weekend?
Please.
Hello. You have reached the offices of the township during non-business hours. If you know the extension of your party, please dial it now. If you wish to leave a message for your party and would like to hear our directory, please press 1. If you wish to leave a general message for the township, please press 2. If you wish to confirm your schedule for disposal day, please press 3 and enter the digits corresponding to your last name. Then wait to hear your date. Carroway, 19 Moccasin Drive. Disposal day, Saturday, November 4th.
It's today.
That's a statement that always seems to be true.
Won't you come in, please?
Abe.
Abe, of course. Coffee? I have milk, cream, sugar, sweeteners.
I take it pure.
You're from sanitation, right? You're a sanitation what? Specialist? Engineer?
I'm your garbage man, Mrs. Carroway. Garbage man.
Oh, I thought they were using different
Do me a favor. Say garbage man. Go ahead.
garbage man.
Right. Didn't that feel good?
Actually, yes. When you think about it, it's kind of an interesting word.
From the old High German Garawan. Think garb. Adorn. Make ready.
Oh,
Take a look outside your window, Mrs. C. Here, I'll get out of your way. You see that truck?
yes.
You see that truck? It's a garbage truck. See the color? Olive green. Mwah! The way God meant it to be.
You're very enthusiastic.
About my work? Yes, I am.
I see.
Delusions of grandeur. Think of the lady? And it may be the truth. But if so, it shall set her free.
I know I should know this. But what is it exactly that you're taking today? Rubbish? Trash? Waste?
Garbage, Mrs. Carroway. Whatever it is that you do not need.
Oh, dear. I know this is an opportunity, but I really could use some time to think. Might I ask you to make your rounds to the other houses and then come back here afterwards?
There are no other houses.
You're only making one stop? That's not very efficient, is it? Kind of a waste of a day.
We come, it always seems, when least expected.
But I need time to make a list. I can't tell you everything in the house I don't want off the top of my head.
Not want, Mrs. Carroway. Need. Everything you don't need.
But I'll miss a whole batch of things, and you'll have to come back.
Believe me, we won't miss anything.
I'm afraid I don't even know where to begin.
Please don't be insulted, Mrs. Carroway.
I'm not insulted. What makes you think I'm insulted?
Because of what I'm about to say. You have a beautiful house. I mean that. Beautiful. But houses, they're more alike than you think. And we know houses. We will be lacking in nothing.
Don't you be insulted, Abe. But this house is my house. I purchased it 30 years ago, and I've improved on it every year. Grown it. My life is in this house, not the township's.
Put your trust in us.
I'm curious, Abe. A certain doubt on my part? Are you hearing it?
Let's say I'm feeling your tribulation, Mrs. Carroway.
I'm waiting patiently.
Good. Now, before we begin, about house owners. We find there are two kinds, the givers and the keepers. In the business, we like to call them the sheep and the goats. Mrs. Carroway, you are very much a keeper, squarely in the camp of the goats. But you don't have to be.
And just what is it about me that makes you say that? Is it the tone of my voice? The steadiness of my gaze? My posture? Because you'll forgive me if I've forgotten. I don't believe we've ever met before. So just what is it, Abe? Tell me.
It's your garbage, Mrs. Carroway.
My garbage?
We watch it. And I have to tell you, Mrs. Carroway, you hold tight. You have quite a grip.
But families have attachments to things.
Don't cling to the past, Mrs. Carroway. The children are gone now.
How do you know that?
Do you really think it necessary to preserve their things? Their former things?
This may be outside your job description, Abe, but some older things have value.
What if, someday, you were no longer here, and the children had to empty the house to sell it? Do you think they'd want to have to put their past lives in storage? I don't think so. Someone will have to clean house someday. Why not today?
You have an infuriatingly jaunty way of stating very distressing facts. I suppose, yes, you may have a point. But I don't think you realize how hard this is.
Don't be afraid, Mrs. Carroway.
I simply dread going through all these old memories.
You don't have to. We're here to do it for you.
I'll be watching everything you do. Everything.
Good. Then, unless there's a strong objection, we'll use the front door. If this job has taught me anything, Mrs. Carroway, it's appreciation.
For garbage.
For the blessing of good help. You'll be astounded at how efficient, how quiet, and, may I say, modest these boys are.
They are deciding what goes and what stays?
Don't let it worry you, Mrs. C. We only remove what you don't need. Carry out some right now and seal some for after.
After?
Mrs. C, you make a great cup of coffee. May I get you another?
Maybe a half. What are they doing back there?
That's one behemoth of a grandfather clock you have in the living room. It's not functional, is it?
It's been in the family for generations. It's an antique.
We'll just tag it for now. What about the piano?
My baby grand piano?
You don't play anymore, do you, Mrs. C?
I fully intend to get back to it.
You've been intending that for how long now?
Are those our books?
Did you really want to read Moby Dick again?
I very well might.
Do you know what else I appreciate in this line of work? The clients. Confidentially, Mrs. C, I have to say that some of my colleagues look upon the men and women they're supposed to be assisting as, I don't like to say it, as some kind of stumbling blocks, even as adversaries.
Do they? Really? As they barge right past them, upending their very lives.
But not me. I look on them with affection. Please, don't think of me as too forward, but I genuinely respect, no, esteem your hopefulness, your rhodomontade, if I can call it that, about your future. Here's to you, Mrs. C.
I am going to hold you personally to account for every piece of furniture, every article, every knick-knack that you and your boys have been unceremoniously hauling across my house. That's my husband!
Well, I should certainly hope so, Mrs. Carroway.
That's Arthur!
Otherwise, it might be something of a scandal.
Put him down this instant!
Go on, Sam. Set it down.
Arthur!
He's fine, Mrs. Cassowary.
It's Carroway, Sam, not Cassowary.
Oh, sorry.
Does this refined lady look like a big, flightless bird to you?
No?
Names are important, Sam. Names are who you are. Now, have you checked his expiry date?
His what?
No. Where would I...
You see where the hair falls over the nape of the neck?
Yeah.
Pull it back and take a look.
I can't really see.
Hold his head still and look closely.
Yeah. Got it. Looks like May?
This is November. 6 months past, Mrs. C.
I don't understand what you're even talking about.
This is not meant as a criticism of any kind, Mrs. Carroway, but didn't you notice?
Notice what?
Though, to be fair, when you're with someone every day, practically 24/7, things can kind of creep up on you. I have to say that I'm the one who sees how much bigger my nephew is getting, not my sister. Okay, go ahead, Sam.
Arthur!
Hold on, Sam. Was there something you wanted to say, Mrs. Carroway? You take your time.
Aren't you cold, Arthur? Can't you put a sweater on him or something?
Sam, can he borrow your jacket? There's a little more coffee, Mrs. C. Can I top you off? Well then, if you don't mind.
Is there any more? Oh, you finished.
Get in there, Mrs. C.
It feels so empty.
Didn't I tell you how able these boys are? The big stuff's been pretty much sealed. Sam's just doing the 7th. Be all done in the space of about half an hour.
I think I should be talking to the township about all this.
Oh, they won't hear you.
No. And I wouldn't even know what to say.
There is a time to speak and a time to be silent.
What's going to happen to me?
That's a choice you have to make, Mrs. C.
I don't care how anybody thinks I'm supposed to behave. I will not be carried out of my own house in a carton.
It needn't be that way.
No?
No, of course not, Mrs. Carroway. I will be honored to escort you. Honored. You might want to pull that robe up just a bit, Mrs. C. It's a bit chilly. You should be prepared.
All of my old things
Have passed away.
I feel like I'm going to cry.
There won't be any more crying, Amanda.
No more being sad.
We'll wipe away every tear from your eyes.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Vocal Canvas. This limited series podcast was made possible by the East Brunswick Public Library, Playhouse 22, NextGen Acting, our really creative community writers, and our fabulously talented voiceover cast from New Jersey. Hope you enjoyed and tune in next time.